Tonight, I unwrap 3 different twisted tales that Tubi has tucked under their Christmas tree. That is their Christmas horror list that they got going on. These films serve up some fear with a side of some holiday havoc. From killer Santas to Christmas chilling carols, we'll dive deep into the nightmares that make you think twice about celebrating the holidays. So grab your hot cocoa, lock your doors, and join me for some holidays gone wrong. Let's go. What up, folks? Welcome back, and I'm glad to be back. I had to take a break for a good while. I got sick, and maybe you can probably tell by my voice. It's still there. It's also pretty semi early. Woke up early. I just started. I started earlier than I usually do. Is what I'm trying to say. Welcome. Today we are going to be talking about Tubi, specifically Christmas horror, scary slasher movies. Christmas horror, scary slasher movies that I myself watched during the time that I was recovering from the sickness that I got. And I got to tell you guys, like, I saw 3. I'm gonna talk about 3 specifically. I saw 3 scary Christmas horror movies that just like caught. I only went by the cover and some of the synopsis, but mostly just covers. And I saw these and I thought, well, 2 of them specifically felt like I was never gonna get that time back that I wasted. 2 of them. Well, one more than the other. But anyways, I'm gonna be talking about these 3 movies, and I'm gonna go by the worst one, all the way up to the top one out of the 3 that I saw that are just like I recommend you should probably check out. And so I apologize. I'm still my throat's still kind of sort of, going in and out. So I might have to like cough to a side once again. But I actually sound way better than I did a couple of days ago. I sounded like one of my aunts who's a very, very heavy smoker, by the way. I reminded myself of my aunt, but anyways, I'm gonna start with the first movie here right off the bat. First movie that I want to talk about, and again, this is going from the worst one all the way to the best one. These are 3 movies from Tubi. Let me know in the comments on YouTube and or Spotify if you guys are fans of the app Tubi. If you're not familiar with Tubi, Tubi is a free movie app. They actually have been killing it lately. They got very, very good selections. And then they also have these kind of movies that I'm going to talk about. But let me know in the comment boxes down below on Spotify and YouTube if you guys are fans of Tubi. So, first one that I want to talk about here is The Elf. All is not calm, it says. Oh my God, this is the worst one out of the 3, dude, that I've seen. And the reason being is, I mean, the first 2 movies I'm going to talk about are very low budgeted movies, but then again, all 3 of them were pretty low budget. And if I'm not mistaken, The Elf came out like in 2017, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. Let me go ahead and maybe possibly just read you guys a little bit of the synopsis so you guys can get kind of an idea. Excuse me. So the synopsis for The Elf here is: after inheriting a toy shop, a man discovers a cursed elf doll sealed inside an ancient chest. He soon learns the doll is a conduct of supernatural evil intended to unleash a killing spree upon his family. So I'm not gonna do a whole full movie review. I'm just gonna like break down a little bit on it because again, we're doing 3 here. So, and also for some reason, there's not really a lot of pictures. There weren't any pictures for this goddamn movie, but there will be clips quite possibly popping out here and there. Since this is a video podcast for the ones just listening, well, I mean, you have the option to watch it, so to each their own. You're probably just like running or at work listening to me or something. But if you are gonna watch, I suggest there'll be clips playing here and there. So, anyways, the elf. The way it starts off is actually very interesting. It's like this like very scrawny old quite Santa Clausy looking dude working on some sort of doll. It's got a mouth stitched up, and he looks like he's just been through hell, and he looks like he's doing all this work in secret. He's kind of like looking behind his shoulder and shit. And then there's like stuff going outside, and it's night, it's snowing, it's harsh weather, right? And so he's doing all this work, right? And he's doing it, and then there's like this box behind him that's like open. There's nothing in it, or at least you can't see anything in it. And then I can't remember exactly what he says, but he turns around and says like, "If you stop me now, I will never finish my life work," or some bullshit like that. I don't know what exactly or who exactly this old man is talking to, but he says this, and then for some reason, like I guess he dies of a heart attack. I mean, he looked ancient, and also the special effects makeup on his face weren't exactly the greatest like ever. Like I can probably do something way better than that. But anyways, so he just kind of like collapses on this doll, which is not the doll that the main elf character is, by the way. I don't know what that doll even was. They never actually explained what the other stuff that he was working on was even about. So he collapses on the doll, and then we get this really, this is the possibly the most interesting part of the entire movie. So he collapses on this doll, and then this like giant like monster Krampusy demon devil looking hand grabs this thing that I don't remember what it even was, but he grabs this thing and just like takes it, and then the title The Elf comes out. But that was quite possibly the most coolest and the most interesting part of the movie. And the thing that sucks is that you never see what that monster thing is. But I'm pretty sure for a fact that thing was like Krampus, for sure. If you've seen the if you've seen the movie Krampus, and I'm talking about the one done by Universal, that one is by far like the best Krampus movie. And also, I think I might have missed one, but there's this one movie that me and my wife watched together. It was The Origins of Krampus. Also sucked. I can't remember exactly where we watched it, but I'm pretty sure it was Tubi. That's not in the list. But anyways, yeah, that's another one that I don't recommend you guys watch. That's nothing to do with Krampus. Also, the Krampus comes out just some buff guy with like warrior type fucking armor is just ridiculous. But anyways, so yeah, that's the most interesting part of that of the movie. So the hand comes out, takes something away from the old man, and then oh my god, right after that, it's just like it was horrible. The actors in this movie, dude, is just so incredibly just I don't even it's so bad. Also, like they really hold back, and by hold back I mean like there's a lot of stalling as far as the acting goes. There's like they're just having like a conversation, and it's like oh, like for example, like oh, it's snowing outside, and they'll be just staring out the window for like a minute or two, and then dialogue, and then stall, and then dialogue, and then stall. And it's like, where is this even going? And that happens all throughout the movie. And I think the worst part, worst part, is that um this also happens when the slaughtering and the killing is happening. Like when the fucking little doll elf, but which by the way, the elf doll itself is creepy. I will say that. They did pretty good when it came to the actual elf doll. It was creepy. And then also they made it very, very obvious that it was a killer fucking possessed little elf or whatever. Because when the guy found it, he took it out of the ancient box, which just looked like a regular fucking wooden box. He took it out and it was already holding a knife. Like that was the biggest giant red fucking flag. And it's like, dude, come on. Like they didn't even try, but whatever. So yeah, the guy, there's a couple in the beginning. This blonde. I don't have the cast members because for some reason they don't pop out. I guess they were just like ashamed to be mentioned that they were in this movie. I don't know, dude. But this blonde and this guy who are who just got married. They they had to move out for what X reason, and they seem to be walking around this shop. They get escorted in by this old man who has no lines, no dialogue at all whatsoever. All he does is walk these two kids into this shop, or at least it looks like a shop. It could have been an apartment or motel. I'm not even entirely sure what that place was. That place looked like a fucking mess. So he leads him in, hands the guy the key, does like this like face gesture, and then he just kind of walks away, and we never see him again. And so this blonde chick, like, this is what I'm saying. Like, this is so bad. So much stalling. Like, we see a lot. This is just the beginning. We see the blonde just kind of walking around, kind of just looking at stuff and shit. The other guy looks completely like irritated and frustrated, but is also looking at stuff, and they're like talking and whatever. And he comes across the ancient box, which again is just a regular box. He opens it up. He finds a little creepy elf doll, again holding a fucking knife. That should have been the biggest red flag. But it's also thrown in there that the guy has like some like issues. And I mean, like, it's just so bad. It just happens all throughout this goddamn movie, dude. So many pauses, so many unnecessary pauses, so many unnecessary stares into nothing. And then when it actually comes to the lines, I mean, the way they're delivered is kind of like, it's kind of, I don't know. There's not one actor in this movie that I thought that kind of sort of like should be in better movies, and I can't even think of one in this movie, dude. They were all just terrible. They were all just terrible. And I hate to say that, but I mean it's kind of true. Nobody nobody did nothing to nobody put a good amount of effort into this movie. Again, the only one that actually was kind of, and I say sort of because even the dolls entrances were a bit too long. And again, it just happens all throughout the entire movie where everybody kind of just like, I don't know, I don't even understand. Anyways, um and also it kind of sort of takes a, because there's so much stalling, it takes a while for us to get to the action, which is the killing, the elf and whatever. And I mean, like, there's kind of nothing nice that I could say about it other than that Krampus looking hand in the beginning and the little elf. But even the elves is, again, appearances kind of sort of lag, like literally, like they lag like they drag this movie way too much. I literally fell asleep or was falling asleep around the middle of this movie. But long story short, the the guy turns out to be some sort of like um what do you call it? So the guy does end up being some sort of descendant from the old man that we saw in the beginning of the movie. Because not only did he find the doll in this box, but there was also like a list of certain names, which they never really explain who the names on this list were. There were just certain people that the elf would kill, and then some of the names would get scratched off. But again, there was really no explanation as to why these names were all on the list. No explanation whatsoever. And what else? So yeah, the guy ends up being some sort of descendant from that old man, and hence why he was a bit off. There was like rumor spread about him that he killed like his family or some bullshit. I don't know if that was ever even true either, because they never clarified that either. Like I said, there's so many things that they sort of missed out on this movie. It could have been good, maybe. Again, the doll was the most decent looking thing in this movie, and that Krampus hand. But again, we never see that thing ever again. And it was just so bad. And also the scene where they figure out, or like where he finally mentions like, oh, I had this family member who they dubbed crazy, and he was making toys. And when they considered him insane and whatever, when he was explaining the old man in the beginning of the movie, and then how he's kind of related to him or is related to him, the part where he's explaining it to his wife was so long. And not only that, this is also the time when he's explaining this, the elf was on the loose and had already killed most of the family, because she surprised him with his and her family for Christmas, and he got all pissed off, whatever, because he didn't want anybody around because of the elf. And so this is around the time where the elf killed most of the family or all of the family members, and he was explaining to the wife. And again, it took so long. Like the elf could have killed him right there and then. The movie would have ended, but they just kept dragging it. Like he was explaining it, and the most ridiculous part is that he's explaining it, and then they're both just standing there, like just thinking, and thinking, and she's like taking in this information, and they're both thinking and thinking, and a little bit more dialogue explaining what where he came from, and the elf, and this and that. It just drags on, dude. It's so bad. And then there's like this one particular part that just that came to me, that when the elf actually starts coming at them, there's this one scene where she, the wife, the one of the main characters, runs into her bathroom, closes the door. Elf is like going at it with a knife, and walks off. She opens the door, walks out, and it's as if like that there was no suspense to it at all. Like she just walks out, and like 3 seconds later, little fucker just jumps on her and just or whatever. Like, but the way it was done, it was just kind of ridiculous. But the worst part of this movie mostly is the fact that it's the dragging of the dialogue, the dragging of anything that involves dialogue. It's just dragged, like there wasn't much of a big script, that they just had to add stuff in between just to make it decent length film. And it's just it was pretty bad. Like I said, halfway through the movie, I was just falling asleep. Also, the again, they left out a lot. They never explained the names on the list. We never saw the coolest looking thing that came on the beginning of the movie. They, if I remember correctly, not even the whole explanation of how the guy is related to him. Like there was not even like a flashback or anything like that to help support this guy's story while he was explaining to his wife that he was related to that old man in the beginning of the movie. Nothing. It was just them talking in a room for like 5 minutes or something. It felt like 10. It was just so bad, dude. Oh, it was so bad. And I'll show you guys once again. This is the movie, The Elf. Again, these movies are on Tubi. Don't think that all movies on Tubi are bad. There is good hitters. There's classic ones. There's like the most popular ones in there too. I love Tubi. But there's some stuff in there that just kind of like do a little bit of more research. But that's why I'm here. I am here to help you guys, not waste your time. And I'm telling you, I mean, it's if you enjoy having like what they call bad movie nights, which is a thing, I don't recommend this one. If you're gonna watch a bad movie, I'm gonna talk about the next one now. And this next one here, this next one is called Christmas Twister, which personally to me, this one is a lot more scarier for me for reasons that I myself as a kid was terrified of tornadoes. And like that's quite possibly like one of my biggest fears. Anything that Mother Nature can throw at you. Because like there's a difference between like uh a robber, a kidnapper, or a murder. You have a fighting chance with these kinds of people or these kinds of threats. I mean, you cannot stop a tornado. You cannot stop a hurricane. You cannot stop an earthquake, and you cannot stop Mother Nature in general. So that is scary to me. That's kind of the only thing that kind of saves this movie. But I mean, other than the whole tornado thing, the whole idea of what happened, like uh global warming and weather climates completely going off the grids and creating tornadoes during winter season. I thought that part was a little bit interesting. So that the story itself is good, and how tornadoes started hitting randomly, and they progressively started getting stronger from a F1, and F1 being a certain type of tornado, F1 being the not as still dangerous, just not the strongest, and it progressed all the way throughout the movies for an F6 being like deadliest, most dangerous kind of tornado. We're talking almost a 200 to 300 miles an hour winds, maybe quite possibly more. And we're talking like these motherfuckers, the size of like a whole, like an entire stadium, possibly bigger. um, and the F6 actually ends up coming out again. They progressively get worse throughout the movie, and the F6 ends up hitting like a whole entire city and whatever. So again, I love the story. It was good. Again, the whole tornado thing, I've been afraid till this day. Like If I see a tornado, like I will shit my pants more than likely. Because again, you can't stop that shit. So the tornado thing is scary to me because it hits me right in the fear. The story again was interesting. It was written pretty good. It caught my attention. It kind of sort of made sense and in a way, but the deliverance of it was just lacking. And not to mention that this movie felt this movie felt like the people at the who make Hallmark movies, like Hallmark tried making this movie. It makes any sense. I'm actually going to pull up a picture here. Does this not look Hallmarky kind of situation going on here? I mean, look at the actors. Again, it looks like Hallmark trying to make a mark, and they're like, "Oh, we can also, we can also be very scary too." And that's what it felt like. This is what this movie felt like. It felt like Hallmark tried to do something different, and like people from Hallmark just saw the movie Sharknado, and they're like, "We can do this. We can do this. We will put a tornado, and we will put it in fucking Christmas, and it will be great. It will be fantastic. Get our get our best Hallmark actors in this pronto." That's what this movie felt like to me. But again, the story was good. The tornado thing terrifying, but it's just the acting, dude. If you've seen Hallmark movies, you know what I'm talking about. That's kind of exactly what was happening in this movie. The main character, which is the people who I just showed you guys, the guy, I don't even think there's even casting in here. And I don't think that the people in this movie kind of want to be mentioned. Let's see. Christmas Twister. Oh, they do come out. Oh, here we go. In fact, you know what? I'll even show you all exactly the cast members here, and even their faces look very Hallmark material. For those of you who are just listening, once you are done doing the multitasking, because I know people multitask for whenever you guys actually just listening, definitely go back and watch the cast members here. So we got Casper Van Dien. The fact that there's a white guy with the name Casper is pretty fucking hilarious to me. Anyways, so Casper plays Ethan, and he's the guy that he's with the tornado chaser, I guess we can call him. He's mostly in an office reading levels and uh and all these other kinds of weather type softwares or whatever. So he's doing that, and he's like the expert, and he's got like there's a I think in the movie that they mentioned that there's a whole team, but because this movie was pretty low budgeted, they say that to kind of save the fact that they only had two. It was only Ethan. I believe it was Kathleen here. I believe it was her. And then it was this younger dude. I think it was JoJo. I don't even remember who. It was a guy and a girl. It was a team of only three, consisting of Ethan, Mr. Dean over here, and they were the only team members there. And because it was around Christmas time, they're like, "Oh yeah, everyone's out for Christmas break or whatever." but nobody ever showed up when shit started hitting the fan. I wonder why. Low budget. That's why. But anyways, fucking yeah. So Ethan is like the expert of weather and weather disasters and stuff. His wife, uh, just so coincidentally, was a news reporter, and the wife was very good friends with a very she was high ranking news reporter. She was happened to be friends with a high ranking weatherman who is the character name is Logan, who is played by Richard Burgi. He was kind of sort of Ethan's competition, and there was mention that Ethan have once in the past called out an emergency broadcast, and it turned out to be absolutely nothing. So they evacuated an entire city for absolutely nothing, and so Ethan was already on a bad rep. Or I think he might have also worked at the station that his wife also worked. There's some shit like that. But he caused this big commotion to that so bad that they evacuated an entire city for no fucking reason. So he already had this bad rep, and shit was stirring up. I mentioned in the beginning that that interesting story how climate changes and global warming and like these cold winds that were appearing in like the Gulf of Mexico or something uh, that actually caused tornado season to start earlier during the month of December, Christmas. That part was pretty interesting. Um, I thought that was actually kind of cool. Again, a very, very interesting story. And so that's happening. Tornadoes start popping up. And Logan, the big shot weatherman, he has his shit, but Ethan had his like high tech weather reading whatever software or whatever the fuck. And the wife was like, because Ethan called in and said that, oh, there's shit stirring up in the weather. It looks like we might be getting something or whatever. The wife is like, you've done this before, and it was like, it was a giant false alarm. And he's like, well, this time I'm right, woman. I'm your man. I am your man. He didn't say it like that, but whatever. How husband talks to wife, and she, he convinces her like, okay, I will bring it up to the producer or whatever. So she brings it up. Producer's like this like short, kind of attractive lady. I don't have her. I think she was Deb. Oh, that's right. The producer was name was Deb, played by Christina de Rosa. Christina de Rosa. So yeah, she mentioned it to the to the producer Deb, and she's like this like very stuck up, stick up the ass kind of like employee or person in charge. She's like, no, I'm not gonna risk this and blah blah blah, this and that. And brings it up to Logan, the big shot weatherman, and he tells who was the wife, Addison. Addison, the wife's name is Addison, played by Victoria Pratt. So Logan explains to Addison like, I have my readings. Everything reads the same. Nothing's gonna be going on, blah blah blah, this and that. And Addison, being a loving wife that she is, like, but what if you're wrong and blah blah blah, this and that. And then tornado 1 was already like in the works. It popped out like somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and this trucker who just so happened to have truck troubles stops. The sky looks like it, how a typical storm would look like, a calm before the storm, if you will. And this part was kind of funny because it's like he's having truck troubles, and he's not over here looking at it or whatever, and he just keeps kind of like looking up at the sky, like, going like, wow, just like wow, like the fucker's never seen rain clouds before in his fucking life. And then that's where the F1 tornado pops up. And I also have to mention that the special effects in this movie are not great either. Again, it does look like a Hallmark movie, Hallmark producers or company really tried, but did not want to put in the money for better special effects. But it's the thought, right? Again, tornadoes to me are fucking terrifying, whether they look shitty or not. It looks shitty. I will say that, but it's the idea, right? So the first tornado comes down, and like it's like a couple of yards away, but the trucker's like still like manages to kind of sort of run away, but not really. He trips, and eventually the tornado catches up. I mean, picks him up, and he's gone. Like that, he's considered dead. We never see that guy again. That was the first one, and then there was a couple. Again, it leads all the way to, excuse me, to the F6. But the journey, man, throughout this thing is insane. It's just tornadoes popping in and out. In fact, in the beginning of the movie, actually, I scratched that. There was one tornado in the beginning of the movie. I believe that's that was the F1. The one I just explained was the F2 then. So we already had the two tornadoes in the beginning. We see one, and this one's actually scary to me. And the movie Twister, the first Twister, not the reboot, but the first Twister, they pulled this shit off where a tornado like just creeps up on people at night in the dark. And then when they actually when the wind starts picking up and there's lightning of flashes of the tornado coming at them, that to me is fucking terrifying. And they pull that shit off in this movie too. In the beginning, it doesn't look as great as it does in Twister, but again, still fucking creepy. That is scary shit. Like that is death coming to you in the dark. So yeah, you get those two, and just fast forward to a little bit of the fast forward. Another one ends up hitting like this power plant, and then another one hits. They all hit super randomly, and the entire time it's just like like a little bit more than half of the movie is Ethan and Addison trying to convince the what's it called, the newscast to send out a warning. A warning to evacuate or whatever. And they don't finally agree till like pretty much the last part of the fucking movie. But then when they finally agree to actually, let Addison kind of like cut in between like their biggest what do they call it? Whenever their biggest, oh my god, they had this bit in their news that was like super popular, and their ratings were high because of it, and she didn't want Addison cutting in to interrupt it. But again, they didn't listen till the shit was too late. People have already died because of like so far like a handful of tornadoes. So then they finally agree. She goes up in the air and she's she's telling everybody to evacuate. At this point in the movie, I just fast forward all the way to the F5 or F6. This part was as far as how when the tornadoes will pop out, they looked, again, it's not very great special effects, right? But I think the worst one was the final tornado, because it came out during the day. Not only that, but it's it completely was running through an entire city. But because it was during the day, you can probably kind of sort of get an idea. This gigantic tornado in the city, it's like destroying stuff, but everything around it was it looked pretty good. But I think the worst part was like the most action that happened in the end. Again, this is the ending part of the movie. The most action that was happening was inside the mall because the daughter of Ethan and Addison, which is I believe was Catalin. The character's name was Catalin, played by Haley Lou Richardson. Ditched school, goes to the mall. Typical teenage thing. Um, because she was ratted out by her brother Max, who was played by Dimitri Schuler Lynch. I apologize if I mispronounced that. So yeah, she was ratted out by I failed to mention Catalin and Max because they're not exactly the biggest characters in this movie. They're just the ones that get the main characters in trouble, which is Ethan and Addison, the married couple. So Max rats her out, and of course he has to tell her because at this point in the movie, the final worst tornado was already coming at them. And Max, oh yeah, she didn't go to school. She's at the mall, and the tornado finally hits, and they're doing the whole teenager thing. They even take pictures with like fucking Santa Claus and shit. So the tornado hits, and funny enough, when it comes, all this, people are running around, whatever. Oh, by the way, the mall, some of the stores at the mall that they were shooting at were pretty much closed, so you can tell that they were shooting at a time where this mall was closed. And so the tornado hits, and there's this guy that she was into, that she mentioned his name one or two times. He was entering toward, he was outside of the mall, I mean, and the tornado's coming at him. He's outside, he can't get in because they've already locked the doors for safety purposes, glass doors, right? Smart. So he can't open the door, and he's screaming and begging anybody, I mean, to open the door. As Cataline and her friend, I don't have her name on me. Oh, her friend was Lexi. Her friend and her are just staring at this crusherverse being sucked up by the tornado, which is funny because it sucked the kid up, but the glass door stayed perfectly safe. And you can tell this is shitty, not because just of that. Like those doors should have collapsed along with the kid. But another thing is that they show the tornado in front of the mall, and you see the debris and the whole tornado formation thing. But everything around the mall is pretty much still. You know what I mean? Like this should be like stuff shaking, stuff falling off. We don't get that. It's that kind of movie. Like they tried, like this, like Hallmark tried. you know, Hallmark tried to do their best, but the budget wasn't there for the special effects, and the dialogue compared to the first movie, The Elf, is way better. At least they made an interesting story. It's just the inconveniencing of the kid. Well, first of all, the kids were not, again, the biggest in the story. This is mostly just focused on Ethan and Addison, the parents, on account of Ethan, the dad, is the guy who's the smart one behind everything, making sure everyone tries to save as many lives as he possibly can, and Addison being the pretty much a face of Hallmark, has to be absolutely everywhere because, well, she's not just the face of this newscast, but of Hallmark. It's not Hallmark, but it feels like a Hallmark movie. And I think the worst part was the last parts, right? It's like when the tornado hits and it destroys mostly everything inside the mall. And there's this, I'm gonna show you this one picture. This particular scene here where she finds this kid who is like way taller than she is, and they said kid, but whatever. She finds this kid stuck underneath what looks to be Santa's seat or section, and she's stuck underneath all this debris. And there's this sign holding on by a piece of rope that is tearing apart, that's about to fall on her. She manages to get her up on time. And when the sign finally falls, it was just like you expect like a big bang, like it to break to pieces. And no, it was green screened, and it just like a boop, boop, with some attempt of sound effects to make it sound like, oh, this thing was kind of heavy. You know what I mean? But I think the one that takes the fucking cake, dude, and it was like, it was so stupid. How I mentioned that the brother Max rats her out. They drive up to the mall to look for the daughter. The dad goes in. He tells the kid, "I need you to stay put in this car." Blah blah blah. He walks in. Keep in mind that the tornado already did its thing. Like, it's gone. Everybody's just walking out of the mall, right? So he goes in to look for the daughter, and also the wife at this point was also there because I think she heard that the daughter was there, and she got stuck in there with a couple of people, and then she ended up having to save like this pregnant chick who doesn't give birth in there, by the way. And so they're all there. They find the guy. The Ethan finds Addison. He finds Kathleen. They go outside, and it's like, where's Max? And then he's off again trying to look for the kid, right? He goes back into the mall. And again, keep in mind, the tornado thing already happened. He goes back inside the mall, and then he comes back to it. And I find like there was no reason to do this. He comes out carrying the kid, and it wasn't like just like, oh, I found him, sent him down, make sure he's okay. Like, no. They had to make this part in slow motion. It was so unnecessary. The Ethan comes out carrying Max, slow motion camera. Also, there's like B-rolls of the everybody else making sure they're okay. Paramedics here and there, whatever. And it goes back to him still walking slow motion, and then everybody huddles and hugs each other, and the movie ends. And it's like, what the shit was that? that was Hallmark putting in their Hallmark thing. Like, that's the Hallmark move, just making shit dramatic for no absolute fucking reason. So that was Christmas Twister. The cover is insane, but it's pretty much the actors that kind of sort of not did it for me. So that was the second one. The third one, let's move on to the third one here. Thirsty for something new? Welcome to the Booze and Chill channel, where every sip is, you can say, an adventure. From craft beers to cocktails that'll blow your mind, I've got the lowdown on the best drinks around. But if it's not just about the drinks, I also dive into movie trailer breakdowns, as well as music video breakdowns, and every now and again I do throw in some mouth-watering food reviews. So if you're ready to mix up your entertainment, hit that subscribe button and let's cheers to some good times. Now let's get back into today's podcast. The third one here is called, this one's the best one, by the way. This one's called Christmas Evil. This one came out in, I want to say, 1980. I want to say 1980, but just to kind of be very uh I'm just gonna double check here real quick. Christmas Evil came out in 1980, November 7, 1980. So this Christmas movie came out earlier than it was supposed to. Let me read you the synopsis for this one real quick. This one reads: comical festive frights, a toy maker who reveals in the Christmas spirit suffers a mental break when his work is met with hypocrisy and cynicism, and goes on a Yuletide killing spree. This one was more of a like, it's kind of like a psychological slasher movie. What's it called? Let me see if I can get the casting here. Because the guy who plays the guy who goes insane was pretty damn good. Brandon McGartz, who plays Harry Stadling. So the way this one starts, is you kind of, it's a bit over exaggerated. I will say that. So basically, it's this character Harry and his brother, Mark, Harry and Mark, and they're with the mother, and they're like hiding behind like the stair sets, and they're all watching Santa plant their presents under the tree, and it's just like the dad dressed up as Santa, you know what I mean? So they quietly go back up. The mom puts him to bed, and Mark explaining to Harry like, oh, all excited, right? Because they just witnessed Santa Claus put their gifts under the damn tree, right? So Mark's like, oh man, it's like saying like, oh, I wonder what he brought us, you know, stuff like that. It's like kid conversation, and Harry kind of refusing to believe that they just saw the real life Santa, goes back downstairs, and in the same spot that they were watching Santa Claus put down their Christmas presents, he sees Santa, but he doesn't find Santa alone. He finds Santa getting his face all over their mom's box area. They don't show anything, but you kind of get the idea as to what's about to happen. And he's just sitting there, just watching Santa taking advantage of his mother, and it kind of like goes into the movie title after that. And after the title, we get a fast forward into Harry being an adult, and he lives in this what looks like this apartment complex, and his entire everything, the apartment itself, is just all Christmassy, like Santa Claus stuff, elves, fucking you name it, he had it. He was also toy makers. He had several toys pretty much all over the place, nicely decorated, I will admit that. Very festive. But you quickly realize, you know, that he's not exactly your very normal person. He wakes up, he shaves, and then he just, for some reason, grabs a pair of binoculars and starts staring out a window out into this other section of the building that he is, staring at little kids. And at this point, I'm like, oh, okay, this is weird. Okay. And he keeps an eye on them, and he has like certain particular kids. There's one little girl in particular that's like his all-time favorite because she's like a total fucking sweetheart. And then he, you know, keeps an eye on his other kids, and there's one kid he fucking hates, and he has like a set of books on this shelf. I think they were called the Good and Bad Girls or something like that. Like he had one for good children, he had one for bad children, just like Santa Claus. So he pops those open. He puts down names, what they did, and he also does that for the bad kids. So he goes and he like manages like this very big toy factory. So he lives a normal life. It's just when it's his off time, when he's a fucking weirdo. I mean, even as a manager, people try to have like regular conversations with him, and he's completely monotone about everything. He's like, "Oh, what do you want?" Like, "Oh, like so that Christmas party coming up. What are you gonna be bringing or some shit?" And it's like, "Oh, well, I don't know. What? Whatever." You know what I mean? Like, he just doesn't give a fuck. But then he goes home, and he's like, he doesn't put on any like Christmas Santa Claus voice or anything like that, but he's a much more different person. And again, in the beginning of the movie, you kind of sort of see like, okay, like obviously what he saw as a kid completely traumatized him. But again, what he saw was it was not like as dramatic as they make it seem out to be. Like there was no reason for him to become the person that he became in the movie. But I guess it hits everybody differently, right? So, as a toy factory manager, he's completely like, they just think he's fucking weird, right? Which he is. But so fast forward. I think I actually have a clip, not a clip. I have a picture here that I need to show you. This is the scene that kind of sort of traumatized them here. So it's not as bad as it looks. It really, really isn't. Again, they're it just a bit over the dramatic side, but this is what he sees as a kid, and turned him into the person that he is now. Fast forward, so the toy factory that he works for, they do like this charity where they put, I'm sorry, they're not money, toys. They send toys to this children's hospital. But there's like this issue where they don't know how many kids there are, how many toys they're going to send or something like that. And he's very, very upset about that. The fact that the people above him are not entirely sure. They're not like 100% on the whole charity thing, and stuff of that nature. He gets all super upset, and he's just not happy about that. And at the same time, he's still doing his thing where he's keeping an eye on these kids. And that one kid in particular, they fucking hates, because I think he caught him watching at porn mags, and he fucking hates him. And at some point, he even goes to the kid. Luckily, the mother was there. The mother ain't no fucking Mary Poppins either. So he goes, and I don't know what his plan was. He doesn't do anything because, again, the mom's there. But it looked like he was trying to fucking take the kid. Fails. And he tells him, "Mom, like, Mom, there's a guy," because he was like hiding behind the bushes or whatever. Like, "Oh, there's a monster or some shit behind the bushes." Mom, because he was already not, he was being a kid. She was telling him to get in the fucking car. He was not listening, and the mom just had it and just like, boom, slaps the shit out of his face, toss him in the car, and like, God damn, little fucking Timmy. His name, I don't remember his name was Timmy or not, but she just was not having it with the kid. Slaps him, puts him in the car. But she does like this double take in the bushes and then drive off. And Mr. Harry Stadling fails at whatever it is that he was attempting to do to this kid. And I think that was as the most harshest that happens. What's kind of cool is that the fact that this movie, there was no killing. up until then. You don't see any killing spree till the last parts of the movie. It's the fact that Brandon Maggard, the guy who plays Harry, just delivers such an eerie character that you kind of sort of forget, like, oh wait, this they're supposed to be killing already, like what's going on. But he kind of, like, again, he portrays this very fucked up, uh very messed up person that, again, like, you kind of sort of forget, like, oh wait, we're supposed to be see some bloodshed at this point, but again, you don't see that till the very end. And I think that I thought that was pretty fucking cool. um you see a Christmas horror movie and you're just kind of like waiting for the kills, right? But here it's like he plays his character very eerie that is like, holy shit, dude, like this is fucked up. I thought the guy that Brandon did a very good job on this character. And so anyways, that was like the most harshest thing that we saw so far, and this is like the middle part of the movie. And fast forward to the Christmas party. How I mentioned that the people on top of him weren't 100% on the whole charity thing, pissed him off to no end, that he took matters into his own hands, goes home and fixes himself up, and this is how he ends up looking like. He puts up by the way, I think this particular picture is, well, actually it's from the movie. It's weird. The trailer, a little still on the movie, but let me explain. The trailer shows clips that you don't even see in the movie, which is so weird. And I don't think there was another one. At least I don't think so. Probably have to double check that. But the trailer shows a bunch of clips that don't really come out in the movie, which I thought was really fucking weird. But anyways, he goes home, he fixes himself up to look like Santa, and like, again, he Mr. Muggart, I'm not sure. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. Again, he plays his character very, very well. That as he's gluing, and it looks like he's super gluing this shit on his face, because like he even tugs and pulls on it, or pretends to, right? As he's fixing himself up, he's having like this kind of like a meltdown and crying and saying like, "This is me, like this is me." You know what I mean? Like, it's eerie. Like Mr. McGard really does a good job, and this Harry character, like, he really brings out the the psycho in this person, right? I think it was good. Like, he did a very good job. So he fixes himself up as Santa, goes to his work, the toy factory, gets like a bunch of sacks, fills them up with a bunch of toys, and takes matter into his own hands, drives into the the children's hospital. He creeps out the security guard, thinking, "I dude, this fucking leg. What are you doing out?" Like, and he stays very calm. You can see it that the Harry character, that he's trying to like keep his cool and not lose his shit. Tells him that he has nothing to worry about. Like, he's just here to do good. And the security kind of like looks at him head to toe, like, "All right, wait here." Goes inside. Comes a bunch of nurses and medics or whatever come outside, and while he's waiting, he's like getting into like the Santa Claus character. He's like practicing like, ho 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 no, like, ho ho, like, no, that situation. And then when everybody comes out, he's like he becomes Santa Claus. Like, like it was like flip of a switch. He turns into Santa Claus, a Santa Claus that rides a creepy white van filled with toys. So he opens up the back of the van, and everybody's like, "Oh my god!" And then everybody's taking out toys or whatever. And nobody really stops and think like, "Oh, this fucking random ass person just bringing fucking toys, whatever." So everybody thanks him, whatever. He drives along, and he drives. This is the part where actually you start seeing some blood. He drives up to this church that he so happens to know these big shots that he works for were going to be at. He goes to this church, parks the van right in front of the church, and drives there, and everybody's walking out of there, and people notice, oh, look, a Santa Claus. And there's a couple of people there that are kind of sort of mocking him, and he's laser focused on trying to look for these people. So these people are talking to him, mocking him, and he's just like looking around. He's got a sack, and there's this particular nutcracker figure that he actually molded himself with actual metal. Again, he's a toy maker, so I guess he manages a factory, so he is able to get a hold of such materials. And there's one nutcracker soldier holding a knife that he made himself on the ready on his sack, and he's like reaching it like a goddamn sword. And he finally sees the people that he works for up on the sets of, on the church there, and he's laser focused on him. And then these people around him like start to kind of like touch him, still mocking him. He loses his shit and grabs the thing, stabs that fucker in the eye, and stabs this other dude. So he literally kills people in front of a small crowd, as well as the people that he works for staring at him from the top of the stairs. And he just kind of like hauls it into the van and just fucking jets. So that was the first time that we actually see this character actually, shed some blood. But the way it was done, like, again, this is very, very intense kill, because again, he was only there for a certain amount of people. So he makes a run for it. He's driving around. He stops at like what looks like another Christmas party. And I think it was the one from his office or whatever. So he goes there, and he shows up, and he's kind of just watching everybody from a window. And these two dudes notice him from the inside, come out, they pull him in, and he's again, he just becomes Santa Claus to these people. There's also had to be the kids of the workers there. And so he's partying with the adults, and if the kids were asleep, they wake up and they notice there's a Santa Claus. They continue partying or whatever. And then before he leaves, he makes an announcement to, more specifically, to the children, and he makes it very creepy too. Again, this guy really makes this character very creepy. And so he tells them before he leaves, like, be good at all times, because if you're not, he doesn't make the voice, but I mean, he just like, because if you're not, you get written up on the bad kid book or something like that. But the way that he said it, like, even the adults around him kind of like felt it get a little bit awkward, and he kind of leaves at that. And he drives to his brother's house, and he goes in, and he kind of briefly explains what it is he did, and his brother's completely fucking in shock or whatever. And he goes up to him, he explains to him, and he tells him that the people out there don't believe, and I don't know what. And like, Mark it kind of clicks to him and says, like, you mean to believe? I mean, I something about you, or kind of sort of not pointing the finger on him and telling him like that he kind of the reason why he is how he is and what he did. And his brother Mark is like, you're telling me that you're blaming this on me for something that I said when I was 6 years old, dude? And Harry, like, kind of going at him like, you're just like all those people out there. They don't believe. You don't believe in anything. The children love me. and whatever. Like, and the brother kind of sort of takes matter into his own hands, fucking grabs him by the neck and starts choking him. Doesn't kill him, but knocks him down. And the wife is watching from the stairs. Same way that the Mark and Harry were, in the beginning of the movie, were watching Santa Claus. The wife was doing the same thing, so it's kind of like full circle. And so the brother Mark kind of like sort of kicks his ass out. He carries him out, throws him in his van. Harry kicks him off into the snow, and Harry drives off. And fucking this is the part where I'm pretty damn sure they're throwing it out there that Harry drove off a fucking cliff and killed himself, but that isn't what we see. What we actually see is because in the white van he painted on a Santa sleigh, right? So it cuts into them showing that and him driving, and he kind of gets his idea. So he drives off a cliff, but instead of seeing him go down and exploding or some shit, we see him fly into the moon like Santa Claus. But I'm pretty sure that was a giant indication that he pretty much offed himself there. And that's how the movie ends. Again, don't take my word for it. It is, I think it was pretty good. The deliverance that Mr. McGart, how he played Harry Stedling, the crazy psycho guy who believes he was Santa deep down. I think he did a very good job at portraying this very tormented, traumatic character. But again, don't take my word for it. Go to Tubi, check it out. I don't recommend you waste your time on the first movie that I mentioned. It's, again, there's such a thing as a bad movie night, but this one just takes it to a totally different, boring ass next level. So that pretty much covers today's video podcast. Let me know in the comments down below if any of these sounded interesting at all. Would you recommend? Well, not recommend. But would you watch any of these? I don't recommend the first one, but if you're up for it, if you have nothing to do and you have time to waste, like on purpose, then go ahead and check that out. Check out Christmas Twister, and definitely watch Christmas Evil. It's very good, very traumatic, psychoactive, not psychoactive. I forget the word. It's a good thriller slasher movie. I recommend that one for sure. Again, you can find these all on Tubi. It's all free. Download the app. It is awesome. I fucking love Tubi. They're killing it. There are just certain movies in there that are kind of sort of a hit and miss. So, but that's what I'm here for, and let you know what's good and what's not. And that covers that, guys. And that is it for that. If you want to see more of the boozing and chilling, follow all social medias: Facebook, Twitch. No, I'm sorry, not Twitch. X, Facebook, X, Instagram, and Tik Talks. And if you want to see more of Booze and Chilling, behind the scenes, making of special announcements, and making of all exclusive content, if you like to see that kind of stuff, head on over to Patreon/Booze and Chill. You can go ahead and try it out for 7 days. And if you really want to put in and support, you can go ahead and become a Patreon member. Tiers start at $3. And that is it for that. Oh, of course, watch and or listen on Spotify. Give me a good rating. Let's get engaged in there. I put in some polls most of the time, and also hit the comment box down below on Spotify as well. So that's it for that. I will catch you guys in the next podcast, or the next video, the next review, the next live. And that's it for that. And I will catch you guys in the next one. And remember, if you keep watching, I'm going to keep drinking H2O because I ran out of my coffee. And yeah, catch you guys in the next one.